Hi y'all, welcome to my shop. Turning an Easter egg is a fun and easy project for a novice wood turner. It doesn't take a lot of skills or a lot of wood. It lends itself to various embellishing techniques, dyeing, pyrography, texturing. We'll talk about those later. But let's get started turning an egg. Alright, I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques. First one, we're going to turn just between centers. All of them start off between centers to get round, so we're going to mark the center. I'm just going to eyeball it with a center punch. Tighten it up. I'm going to switch to a little smaller tool rest. It'll fit a little better. Make sure it turns and clears the wood. Protect your eyes. We're going to use a spindle roughing gouge. That's the one that looks like a C. It's got it's been forged or stamped, but it's got kind of a narrow tang. We're going to get speed up here since this is a stronghold. We'll get it up, I don't know, maybe somewhere north of 1500. Anchor the tool, ride the bevel, lift until it cuts, move in the direction of the flute. I'm using a piece of persimmon that's a few years old. Persimmon is very pretty, but most any wood will do. You want to use fairly dry wood, but it doesn't have to be kiln dried. Now we're going to turn this first from between centers, so this works even if somebody doesn't have a chuck. I'm just going to use my little template here. I'm going to draw the end of the egg there, and I'm going to draw the end of the egg there. And that tells us where it's going to be. The rest of it's just going to be scrap. This tends to be a little longer piece, but it wasn't long enough to save any of it. So I'm going to start turning down the end. Use a parting tool. Turn this tip smaller later, and we could come down on this end. Alright, I like to turn the big end first, so actually to turn that down I'm going to switch to a smaller parting tool and get that end down to maybe a quarter of an inch. And then now I'm going to switch to a spindle gouge, and I'm going to just make a large bead. You can choose either end to make as your more pointed end, but I prefer to use this end because it just seems to be easier for me. Now, if you want to use a template, you can use that to size it. This is a little bit big, so I'm going to take it down just a little bit more. You can see that just about gets it. Take it down just a hair more. This particular piece of wood's got a serious wormhole in it. I'm going to go ahead and fill that with some coffee grounds or some ebony dust now and put a little CA on top of it. So I use dried coffee grounds. Just fill the hole in with it. Now I'm going to just use some thin CA, drip it in there. Step away, I hate those fumes because I'm in a hurry. Can use a little accelerator. Now we can use our template to see how we're doing. This size is just about right. I've got some shoulders here a little bit, need to take down just a little bit. That's close enough for government work. Now I'm going to come down on this side of the egg. I'm going to start about 2/3 of the way down and start rounding this off, and then I'll blend this part here in the middle. I can adjust my tool rest, get it a little bit closer. Close is always good. So now I'm just going to Again, anchor the tool on the tool rest, ride the bevel, lift the handle till it cuts, move in the direction of the cut. I doubt if any two different bird eggs look alike, so ours don't need to be any different. They can be different. And those coffee grounds did a great job of filling in most of that that gap, and a little tiny little hole that's left over just going to be a natural defect. So I'm pleased with that look. So now I need to just bring this down. Let me just double check the size here. And come in from the other side, give myself a little bit of room. Before we actually cut it off, we probably ought to finish our sanding. So, just take you a bit of sandpaper, maybe with a little sanding paste on it to keep the dust down, which I have not done on this one. You can see the dust, I think, probably flying off. Not something you want to breathe. Alright, each grit, go with the grain as you change grits to get rid of any radial scratches. Make sure you got all the tool marks dealt with at the coarser grit before you move on to another grit. Yeah, this persimmon is very pretty. I made a set of dark chestnuts out of persimmon. Works very well. Very hard wood. Like I say, most any wood. The plainer woods lend themselves to texturing. We'll look at that in a moment. So I'm going to take this down a little bit more before we cut it with a saw. So the easiest way to cut this off, now we could go ahead and put finish on it now. I'm going to use an oil finish so I can do that later and take care of that. And this one you need to set down at a hard surface and saw it off, and then I'll show you how we're going to remove the bump here in a moment. A great way to sand the nibs off either end to make them smooth is if you've got a mandrel that you typically use for bowl sanding with a power sander, for example, you can put it in a Jacob's chuck. Ideally, you'd have a drawbar to keep it from coming loose, and then you're going to just turn it at a modest speed. I wouldn't get much past 500, and then just shape it, starting with your lower grits. Just keep moving it around so you don't get a flat spot. Another more advanced technique you'll find handy is actually making you a jam chuck similar to this. I'm using this big piece of wood just because I have it on hand. It's a piece of dogwood that had holes in it. Wasn't useful for anything else, but it'll make a fine jam chuck. So I put a tenon on it, got it chucked up, and now I'm simply going to hollow it out similar to the way I'd hollow a box. Here like this, and then I'm just going to pivot. So after you get it deep enough, and you've got about maybe a 3-degree slope on the inside to fit your egg, you just tap it in. Actually, it works better if you're turning between centers and you left that little nib with your live center. It's easier to center this up, but we'll just tap this in, and that's for sanding. It's going to be close enough. And then you can go ahead and take your sandpaper and just, you know, finish the end of it up. And you may have to tap it out. This is in there fairly secure. And then you can do the pointy end same way. Line it up. Looks like I've got it close. And there we go. Having a soft pad behind your sandpaper makes it a little easier to do a nice job with sanding. It'll flex a little bit. Now the opening for this egg is actually smaller than the widest diameter, so when it sits in here, the larger part of the egg is still sitting out. If I reverse it, again, what that allows is there's no part of the egg that's really covered up. If I finish this part here and turn to here, I can still get to the full surface. I've got a piece of dried Bradford pear, one I can texture, so we're going to finish this one real quick. Now my preference is to actually put a tenon on it and put one end in the chuck. That's what I'm doing with this one. You're going to make your tenon to fit your particular chuck jaw configuration. In my case, parallel jaws. So before I get it completely round, I go ahead and put a tenon on it, because otherwise it may be a little bit too small. This is what I'm talking about. On blanks that are close to 2 inches, maybe a little bit under, that if you turn them completely round, you may not have much of a shoulder, and the shoulder on the chuck is what really gives it its strength, that flat area up against the chuck. So as before, we don't want to forget that we have this little bit of damage from the tailstock that we want to go ahead and remove. And the easiest way to do that is just to take it down a little bit with a parting tool. And now we can take our little story stick and we'll mark where the end of our egg's going to be. So I'm using the tied underhand grip, my finger under here, to lever this thing around to get this large bead turned. Now I'm going to show you how to texture this. First I need to sand it. So I'm going to use my Sorby micro spiraling and texturing system. Okay, well, that did a little bit of spiraling. Now I'm going to use my point tool to kind of define that middle. And see where the outside of the decoration is here. And make an extra little bead. And so that's a nice little decoration on the outside there. And now as I start shaping this, we're going to come back and do a little decorating here. With the spalting, which is unusual on Bradford pear, that's probably too pretty for me to even bother to texture, but I want to show you how that looks. So I'm just going to put a little texture band here, and then put a bead on each side. So I'm going to slow this down. It's no more than about 450. I've got a nice, very nice spiral cut that I'm real happy with. I'll raise this up just a little bit. Drop the handle, roll it over. Drop the handle, roll it over. And I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to just finish shaping the bottom here and part it off. And like with the other one, I'm going to use a jam chuck to finish the tip here. With this texturing on the side, it's pretty easy for me to get it lined up. Just tap it in place. Finish shaping that off. good, nice and rounded. Now all I gotta do is, as before, just sand it up a little bit. So part of the fun of these Easter eggs is decorating them. You can, like I say, use pyrography, you can texture them, you can dye them different ways. You can use liming wax, such as this one. Lots of ways to have fun. So just a reminder, I've got a handout on my website, and you can find the link in the show notes that will take you to that egg turning handout that has a to scale model of that template. If you want another fun Easter project, you might consider turning a little cross like this. You can turn this with it from a branch. I'll have a link right here. Y'all stay safe. Come on back here.